Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you some more Mass Effect 3 multiplayer gameplay. Now today I'm playing as a human Vanguard, and I am on the map Firebase White, fighting Cerberus. I think it's either bronze or silver, I'm not too sure, but it's definitely not gold. I've only just sort of started out on Mass Effect 3 Online, because for the first day or so, I've been playing on the single player, you know, getting into it, but the last couple of days I've been playing a lot of multiplayer. I think my total level is like between 50 and 60 now, so I'm getting quite a few classes pretty good now. But I have to say, the Vanguard, in my opinion, is the best class to use against Cerberus, because the Vanguard is one of the highest damage dealing classes you can use in multiplayer. I mean, the Biotic Charge Nova combo it's just incredible. It's an incredible combo, and it's something that I'm going to go into a little bit more deeply later in the commentary. But first, there's just a couple of bits of housekeeping I want to talk about. First and foremost, I just want to remind all of you fans of Mass Effect and FIFA out there that if you do want to add me to play me on Mass Effect or FIFA, you can add the account Tom Alex Evans. Now the friends list is pretty empty on this, so you will definitely get through, no problem at all, and I'll be quite happy to play some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, because it's always a good thing to play with you subs, and if you guys want to play with me, that'd be brilliant, and I'll be quite happy to do that. So just add the account Tom Alex Evans. It's exactly spelled exactly how it sounds, all one word, all lowercase. You know, it's the account I'm using in this video, so if you're not too sure how to spell it as well, the name will be in the bottom right corner as I get a kill. So I'm really looking forward to some of you guys adding me, and really looking forward to getting some gameplay in on Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I get into the gameplay is my Mass Effect 3 presentation, because this is a new game. I know the games are quite long in this as well, so I just wanted to ask you guys, how do you want me to do my Mass Effect 3 videos? Do you want me to do them like the ones I've done here, which is basically I've sped up the first 7 rounds, I think, because the first 7 rounds are, you know, not particularly challenging if you've got a reasonable team and you know what you're doing, and it's only with the last like 3 or 4 rounds that it becomes a bit challenging and more interesting to watch. So that's what I've done on that. But if you do want me to show the whole video in 2 parts or in one big video, I'm quite happy to do that as well. And another thing, I am very, very happy to do some Mass Effect 3 live commentaries. So if you guys are interested in some live comms on Mass Effect 3, I would definitely be up for that. So just, if you could leave a comment just saying what you'd want and saying what sort of format you would prefer for Mass Effect 3, I would really appreciate that, guys. But anyway, that is enough on the build-up. Let's get talking about the gameplay. Now, I said just a little bit earlier that I think the Vanguard is the best class to use for fighting Cerberus, and I'm just going to go and explain this a little bit more. The Biotic Charge Nova combo is the most useful in any class. I mean, the Engineer with Incinerate and Overload is another very, very potent combo, but I find when you're playing Cerberus, because you're fighting so many organics, the ability just to Biotic Charge and then Nova them is just so useful. You can take whole swathes of enemies out very, very easily, and as you can see here, you can just blap them down with a pistol. I mean, as you guys know, if you've got the game, Mass Effect 3 has basically a weight-based power speed. And if you don't know what that means, basically the more weapons you carry, the heavier you are, and the slower your powers regenerate. So what a really good idea is, if you're using a class which relies heavily on its powers, and I'm thinking especially the Vanguard, the Sentinel, the Engineer, you know, those sorts of classes, what I highly recommend is just use a pistol and nothing else, because you know, there are so many ammo pickups around the map. You're never out of ammo, so you can just run around, go to an ammo crate, and you're stocked up straight away. And by just using that pistol, your powers get a 200% recharge bonus, so you can completely and utterly mow enemies down. And I got so unlucky with that missile launcher. I was aiming at that Atlas, I was going to take it down, and my teammate just got his missile off slightly faster. So unfortunately, we should have really coordinated there, because it's always useful to have someone with a Cobra missile hanging around, because every now and again you just get some insane combination of enemies turn up. Like, the level will be really quiet, and then suddenly you'll get 2 Phantoms, an Atlas, you know, loads of Centurions appear at once, and you're just standing there on your own, and you need to blow them to Kingdom Come. So having a Cobra missile in reserve is a really useful thing, and a really good tip for Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is to try and hold on to at least 1 Cobra until the last level, because every now and again you're just getting swarmed, especially if you're playing the Reapers, because Banshees are just a horrible, horrible, horrible enemy to face, and occasionally you do need that missile launcher just for a relatively quick and straightforward kill. However, for the vast majority of enemies, the Vanguard is just an awesome way to take them out, because as you can see there, Biotic Charge restores your shield straight away, so you can Biotic Charge into combat and then Nova automatically, because Nova uses up all of your shield to deal a massive area effect amount of damage. So you might be thinking, that's not very good, but Biotic Charge, it has an ability to regenerate your shields automatically. So in the end, you're without shields for a very limited amount of time. The only time you need to be careful as a Vanguard is if you charge in, Nova someone, and there are enemies you didn't realise were there, and so you've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew, then you need to get out of there. And the skill to playing a Vanguard is knowing when to be aggressive, because when you first get this class, it's very tempting just to warp all around the place, Biotic Charge everything you see, and just go for broke. And whilst that can work on bronze, as soon as you start to move up to silver and gold, you're not going to get away with that. There are too many enemies, there are too many high-powered enemies for you to just completely mow. And I know the Vanguard is a very powerful class, and it's an exceptional one for dealing with a whole array of enemies, but sometimes you just need to pick and choose your battles, and that is the real skill with being a Vanguard. It's always better, I find, to take a little bit more time, wait for those enemies to come around the corner to make sure there's only 2 or 3 of them, because the very first bit of this commentary, my very first kills were me warping into 4 assault troopers. Now I waited for a couple of them to walk around the corner to make sure there was nothing nastier there, and then I just took them out. And that is the the best tip I can give you as a Vanguard. You have pretty much unlimited range on your Biotic Charge, so you don't have to get close at all. As you can see here on Firebase White, I'm just standing on top of this little platform here, looking at the enemy spawn, so I can just wait, have a look round, check if there's anyone there, and then if there is, I can warp into action and sit here. And just look at the damage I've done there. I have just completely ripped a Phantom to shreds, and Phantoms are far and away the most annoying enemy you face when you're fighting Cerberus, because Atlases aren't that bad. You can destroy them with Cobra missiles relatively easily, and if you're just 2 or 3 people are there standing next to each other, blatting, firing warp into it, incinerate, overload, just throwing powers at it, Atlases drop incredibly quickly. The only real time you've got to worry is when there's 3 or 4 Atlases at once, and like silver later levels or gold pretty much from the start, you get a lot of Atlases come. But when there's 1 Atlas, unfortunately it did take me out here, but as you can see there's no real threat. Getting downed in Mass Effect isn't a bad thing as long as you're with your teammates, and that is my next really big tip for playing the Vanguard, and that is stick with your teammates, because you're such a high risk, high reward class that if you go on to do the lone ranger sort of playstyle and you slightly mess things up and you go down, you need your teammates to revive you, because there's only so much Medigel you can use. You can only use 2 per game, so per 11 rounds you can only use 2. So what I normally try and do is just save them for emergency situations. So if I'm like one of only 2 people left standing, I'll use my Medigel. But if I'm the only one who's down, I will wait until I'm just about to die before reviving myself, and that is a really important thing. You only get a limited amount of equipment per level, so the real skill is just deciding when to use that. But the Vanguard, it's such a brilliant class that even if you do go down and you buy your teammates there, for example when that turret completely mowed me, because I was being sticking with my teammates, it's fine, it really doesn't matter. A really good thing about the Vanguard as well is its rapid response. Because Biotic Charge has such an insane range, you can just stand completely out of the action, see one enemy and get right into the thick of it in an instant, and that is something very few other classes can do. The only other classes that can really do that are infiltrators or people who use sniper rifles. The ability that the Vanguard has just to reach out and touch enemies on the other side of the map, it's a fantastic asset. Now, that's enough on the Vanguard class. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a help on how to survive this extraction wave, because especially on the later levels, the extraction wave just becomes an ordeal, especially if you're playing the Reapers. You just get Banshee after Banshee charging you. It's a nightmare. But a really good tip to do is do what I'm doing here. Don't stand straight in the middle of the extraction zone from the beginning. Start a little bit further away, for example on this platform here, and try and battle the enemies until you're getting overwhelmed. Then, when you begin to get overwhelmed, slowly pull back to the extraction zone, like firing and retreating, and defend the extraction zone for as little time as you possibly can. Because what I found, if you head straight for the extraction zone, every now and again you just get swarmed. You know, it'll be quiet for about 30 seconds, and then suddenly a massive glut of enemies arrives at once. You know, and because you are at the extraction zone, there's nowhere for you to go. You can't run anywhere. You've got to stay there and fight your battles. And that is a very, very dangerous tactic sometimes, especially if you're up against a higher difficulty or there's a massive amount of enemies there. You know, you're really going to struggle to hold that landing zone for that last 30-40 seconds if you're getting swarmed. But as you can see here, I stayed at the top of the stairs until I was literally about to die and I was getting a little bit overwhelmed, and then what I did is I just ran back, and now I'm fully healed and the enemies are miles away, and we've only got 20 seconds left with no enemies anywhere near us to hold off. And it's just a brilliant idea. And the great thing about doing this with a Vanguard as well is if an enemy sneaks around the back of you and gets into the extraction zone, you can just biotic charge straight back and take them out. So the Vanguard really is an exceptional class, and if you guys haven't tried it yet online, I really do recommend it. It's a very fun one to use, very high risk, high reward, exciting gameplay to watch as well. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a class overview on the Vanguard, and I really hope you enjoyed the gameplay. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.